Right, so hopefully this video looks a lot better than my others. Not that I actually, upload or anything, but it should look a lot better. So as one of the 7 people that actually own this particular case, I kind of just felt like I kind of should make this video. So in this video, I'm going to be going over like the pros and cons, what you can do to like improve your case, airflow, shit like that, with the Game Max Onyx. Now, I'm in no way like a tech YouTuber. I don't know, I like to say I don't know fuck all, but I know a little bit. Basically, I know enough to give my input on the whole situation. So first off, the whole look of this case. Now, this case, like, as you can tell, I'll put a couple of, like, videos and pictures on the screen as I talk about them. But this case looks like, it looks fucking amazing. So you got the side and front panels all tempered glass, you got 3 LED fans that come pre-installed at the front. It's got a nice honeycomb feature on the front for the LEDs to shine through and give it a cool pattern. Now, the tempered glass is an absolute bitch to take care of. Now, this isn't like case specific, this is just all tempered glass, but like, the fucking fingerprints are so obnoxious. It is so hard to take care of. So like, you think your case will be getting hot, and then you're like, hey, I'll just put my fingers on the glass, see if it's hot. Then you're like, oh shit, I gotta spend the next 5 minutes cleaning off fucking thumbprints. But other than that, the case looks fucking great. Like, the glass is like tinted, obviously it's tempered glass, so the light really just makes it look cool. So the case itself, it looks really good. Now, building in this case is also like pretty nice. So you got rubber grommets all around for like every size, so it supports like full ATX boards, micro ATX, and I believe another one, I'm not 100%. But it's got plenty of places for like cable management, wiring stuff through, keeping cables like hidden so it looks good. It's got plenty of rubber grommets. Obviously, this was my first build. Having a case like this was quite nice. I could make it look good. Big lack of cables, showing through. Now, the basement's kind of a hassle if you've got I think it's a non-modular power supply. So obviously with modular, you can kind of like take the wires out you don't need, plug the ones in you do need. So there's no wasted cables that you've got to like store somewhere. Now in the basement, there is a good amount of room to store like non-modular power supply cables like I have. And unless you're going to look at that side of the case, it's not really that important. So you can stuff them in there, but it's kind of awkward. There's not too much room in there. So I say if you're going to build in this case, I'd definitely recommend getting a modular power supply so you can just put in the cables you need. Now this case has support for a 120mm radiator at the front for like AIO, water cooling, whatever. Then I think it supports one at the top as well where the dust filter could be. You could mount either 2 fans up there, or a radiator with 2 fans. You could take out the fans at the front, mount a radiator there. So there's plenty of support for like water cooling. I've heard a lot of people say that like there's not as much support for it as they'd like. Some people say the specs are slightly exaggerated, but I don't know, it seems like there's plenty of room to me. But no more than the 120, I'd say. Now all of the reviews I've watched, all 3 of them that are in English on fucking YouTube, they've all said pretty much similar things. The case has not very good airflow. And the main issue of this, it doesn't come with a pre-installed exhaust fan. So there's no fan at the back, there's no fans at the top to suck hot air out. It just pushes like kind of cold air in. And that's also an issue because the cutouts at the front, the honeycomb kind of pattern, it's really restricting on the airflow. Not an overly decent amount of cold air is getting in. So what you can do is either you can replace the fans and you won't have the RGB, colours. I mean, you could get other RGB fans, but you might need another RGB hub, because the hub at the back I think is specific to Game Max fans. But what I've done, so I'll show you a couple of pictures. I got 2 fans at the front and I took the bottom one off, which was near the basement, and I put it on the back, which really improves airflow. My computer doesn't get nearly as hot. It was getting to like 75 plus degrees when I was playing intensive games. But now I've done this, it doesn't peak over like 65, which is a good amount. I mean, I'm going to get even more fans. I'm going to get about 6 in total. So yeah, if you're going to get this case, I'd definitely say move a couple of fans around, have 2 sucking air in the front, 1 pushing air out the back. That way you get a lot better airflow if you've not got a little bit more money to spend on fans. Now the fans aren't particularly good. They default set to slow and you can't control them with like BIOS or anything, so it doesn't register. And most reviews and like thingies, tutorials online don't say this, but there is a hub at the back, there's a button on it which you can turn the fans up to high, which I definitely recommend doing. You'll get terrible airflow without it. But yeah, just press that button once, it'll set it to high. Now the I/O at the top, it's super discreet, it looks quite nice, so it's got 2 USB 2.0s, it's got an audio in and audio out jack, it's got one USB 3.0, it's got an LED for like the power or the reset button, I don't know what the fuck it does. It's got a reset button, it's got a power button, and there's an LED button so you can change the LEDs inside. So it's got a bunch of solid colours, the typical red, green, white. It's got quite a nice white, which isn't usually the best with RGB. But it does look quite nice. Then you got a couple of effects. You got like strobe, you got fading in and out, you got a breathing one. So the LEDs I'd say are pretty good. They're not super bright, but they do the job. Now the feet for the stand, Everyone says they made it out of quite cheap material, but you don't really notice, you're not really going to be feeling the feet of your computer. So it's not overly important. But the feet, you know, they do their job, they're not going to break on you. Now, the actual interior of the case itself, the actual frame, it's got a lot of unnecessary cutouts, holes in it that you don't need there. Honestly, I barely noticed these building, but at the top you've got like a bunch of holes that don't need to be there. Just a bunch of other holes. If it looks like this case was like repurposed for tempered glass, which wasn't before, and they just haven't got rid of the holes. But it's not really a big deal, you can't really see it through the tempered glass, it just kind of blocks it out. So that's not really a big deal. Now, it's got removable dust filters, there's one on the bottom of the power supply, it just slides out the back. It's quite awkward to get out, but it does just slide out. And then you've got another dust filter on the top, it's magnetic, you just slip it off. So, you know, just to clear out some dust, stop dust getting in. Or even if you're going to install some fans, you're going to want to take off the dust filter, screw them in, put the dust filter back on top. Now, I think this case sells for about, I bought it for about £80 at the time, I think it's about the same price. It's probably one of the cheapest, nicest looking tempered glass cases out there. And I do really like this case. I know I said a lot of negatives about it, but I do really like this case. It looks really good, apart from the fucking thumbprints. So I would definitely recommend this case to anyone building a new PC, wanting to upgrade their old look. It just looks cool and it's cheap for that tempered glass. If you don't want to spend loads of money on like a tempered glass case, I'd definitely go for this, because it's just like a good like starting point for new builds. Now obviously if you have a more high-end build, you're going to want a more high-end case, because this really does restrict airflow. So if you've got really expensive parts in there, you know, like 200-300 plus, I definitely recommend getting a better case, because the airflow probably won't be sufficient for cooling unless you have water cooling, which probably still won't be as great in this case. So I'd recommend this for like, you know, mid to low end PC build, definitely not like 1,000 plus high end builds. So anyway, that's it for this video. I know this wasn't my usual type, most of the people that are subbed to me already probably don't give a fuck. But I felt like I needed to make this because there are barely any reviews, and the ones that are in like fucking Arab or some other language, I don't know. They're in a bunch of foreign languages, which like, you know, isn't useful. So now I might start uploading again soon, you know, normal videos. If you want to see a build in this case, go to my last video. I basically go by step building it, putting it in the case, showing off when it's done, making sure it works. If you want to see that, head over to my channel. That's it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video, if I actually upload.